The galaxy was vast, filled with countless stars, strange worlds, and civilizations both old and new. Among these civilizations was the Valari Union, a proud but fragile alliance of alien species who believed they had seen all that the universe could throw at them. They had survived wars, plagues, and invasions, but they had never dealt with humans, not directly. That changed with a single mistake that IT began when a small Valari patrol ship drifted near the edge of known space. The ship was badly damaged after a clash with raiders. Its hull was cracked, energy reserves were fading, and the crew could barely keep life support running. They had one last chance: send a distress signal, an SOS across the void. The captain of the Valari ship, tired and desperate, activated the beacon. He did not realize the ship's computer, half broken, mistranslated the signal routing. Instead of sending it to the nearest Valari fleet, it went further, much further. The signal reached a world the Valari never wanted to involve. Earth.to the aliens. Earth was not a familiar name. In most records, it was only a whispered rumor, a place where strange, unpredictable beings lived. Many called them Deathworlders because their planet was one of the harshest in the galaxy. A world of storms, diseases, predators, and endless survival struggles. Any species that grew strong there had to be terrifying. And now, the Valari had unknowingly called for their help on Earth's orbital command station. The signal appeared without warning. Technicians gathered around the glowing screens. The message was broken, filled with static, but one thing was clear. It was a call for help. Coordinates flashed again and again. The commander of the station frowned as he read it. He was a calm, older man with steady eyes. For a moment, he considered ignoring it. Humanity had learned long ago that alien cries were not always safe to answer. But this time, something was different. "This isn't random," he said quietly. "They're desperate, and if raiders are involved, others will come. If we don't go now, we may face a larger threat later." Around him, the officers nodded. Humanity had been waiting for years to prove themselves, to remind the galaxy that they were not weak. This was their chance. The commander gave the order: wake the ship. In the heart of Earth's defense yard, deep within a massive hangar, a giant machine slept. It was not just a ship. It was a fortress of steel, a war machine older than most human colonies. Its hull was layered with armor strong enough to shrug off asteroids. Its cannons could shatter cruisers with a single strike. For years, it had rested in silence, feared even by those who built it. Now, the hangar shook as ancient engines roared back to life. The ship's name was simple: Titan. Lights spread across its surface. Shields activated and the long weapons arrays aligned. The crew, trained for years but never called into action, rushed aboard with steady hearts and cold determination. The Valari had called for help. Humanity would answer, but on their own terms. Far away, the Valari patrol ship drifted in darkness. The crew believed their message had failed. Oxygen was running low, and fear pressed on them like a heavy stone. One of them, a young officer, whispered, "No one is coming. We are finished." But just then the stars shifted. A ripple of energy appeared, and space itself seemed to open. From the void emerged a shape so massive that even the Valari's scanners trembled. A warship, unlike anything they had seen before, slid into view. Its silhouette was sharp, predatory, almost alive. Its weapons glowed faintly in the cold dark. The Valari gasped. This is not one of ours." The commander of the Valari ship felt his chest tighten. He did not know whether to feel relief or terror. The ship looked like it was built not to save, but to destroy. On the human warship, the Titan, voices echoed across the command deck. Target coordinates reached. Alien vessel located. Reading critical damage. Orders, Commander? The commander looked at the Valari ship on the screen. He could see its broken hull, the flickering lights, the small crew barely hanging on. He spoke slowly, but with iron in his tone. "Signal them. Tell them this. Humanity has heard your call." The Titan drifted closer, its shadow falling over the small alien craft like a mountain blocking the sun. For the Valari, hope had returned, mixed with a chilling realization. They had summoned the Deathworlders. The Valari ship hung in silence, dwarfed by the giant shadow of the human warship. For a long moment, no one dared to speak. The crew could hear the faint hum of their failing systems and their own shallow breathing. Finally, a voice crackled through their calms. The language was strange, yet the computer translated it quickly. "This is the Warship Titan. Your distress signal has been received. Identify yourselves." The Valari captain swallowed hard. He was trained to speak with allies, sometimes with enemies, but never with legends. And Deathworlders were legends. Stories told across the galaxy painted them as brutal survivors who crushed anything in their path. He replied carefully, his voice shaking. "We are the Valari Union Patrol vessel Dawnlight. We were attacked by raiders. Our systems are destroyed. We called for aid." There was a pause. On the Titan's bridge, the human commander studied the transmission. He could see the fear in the alien's eyes, the way the words trembled. He leaned back in his chair, calm but cold. "You did not call your own fleets," he said. "You called us." The Valari captain felt his throat tighten. He wanted to explain it was a mistake, that the beacon had misfired, but fear chained his words. "Yes," he said at last. "We called you." Inside the Titan, the crew prepared. The ship's medical teams readied bays for the wounded. Engineers ran checks on weapons systems. Though they had come to help, no one on board truly trusted the unknown. The commander stood before the large viewing screen. The Valari ship floated weakly in space, its hull cracked like broken glass. It looked fragile, almost pitiful, compared to the Titan's vast bulk. "Send boarding shuttles," the commander ordered. "Bring them aboard. Their ship won't last much longer." Shuttles launched from the Titan, sleek black arrows crossing the void. They docked with the alien craft, and human soldiers stepped out. Their armor was heavy, their movements sharp, trained. To the Valari, they looked more like machines than living beings. One soldier spoke through his helmet speaker. "Stay calm. You're coming with us." The Valari hesitated, but survival left no room for pride. They followed. Minutes later, the alien crew stood inside the Titan's hangar. The massive chamber stretched higher than they imagined, with rows of fighters and armored vehicles ready for war. The air smelled of fuel, steel, and power. The Valari captain tried to stay composed, but his people huddled close, eyes wide. They had never seen a warship like this, not even in their own fleets. "Your ship is beyond repair," a human officer told them. "You will remain here until further orders." The Valari captain nodded quickly. "We are grateful." But inside, he was not only grateful, he was afraid. Meanwhile, deep within the Titan's command center, the human officers gathered around a tactical map. "Raider activity in this sector has increased," one officer said. "If they attacked the Valari patrol, they may be waiting for reinforcements or baiting us." The commander's expression hardened. "Then let them come. If they want to fight, they'll see what a Deathworlder warship truly is." Around the room, the crew felt a thrill. For decades, humanity had been underestimated, avoided, or dismissed by the greater galaxy. But Titan was their message carved in steel. Humanity was not weak. Humanity endured, fought, and won. On the Valari side, whispers spread among the rescued crew. "They are monstrous," one said quietly. "Did you see their weapons? That ship could destroy entire fleets." Another shook his head. "Better them than the raiders. Maybe they will protect us." But the captain, older and wiser, stared at the floor. "Protection," he muttered, "or domination. Do not forget, Deathworlders do not save for kindness. They act with purpose. Always." His words hung in the air like a shadow. Hours later, alarms blared across the Titan. A voice echoed through the halls. Multiple contacts detected. Raider fleet incoming. 7 ships on approach. The Valari crew panicked, clinging to each other. To them, 7 Raider ships meant certain death. They had seen what raiders could do: plunder fleets, burn colonies, leave nothing alive. But the humans moved with calm efficiency. Crews ran to stations, weapons powered up, and shields flared to life. The Titan was not afraid. On the viewing screen, the raider fleet appeared. Sleek, sharp ships armed with cruel weapons. They spread into attack formation, certain of victory. The Valari watched in silence, hearts sinking. They expected the Titan to fall back, maybe retreat. But instead, the human commander stood tall and gave a single order. Target all ships. Fire on my mark. The Titan's cannons hummed, glowing brighter than suns. The Valari realized the truth in that moment. They had not just called for help. They had awakened something the galaxy feared to remember. The Deathworlders were not saviors. They were warriors. The raider fleet closed in fast. 7 ships, armed to the teeth, their hulls painted with symbols of conquest. They were hunters, killers of the weak, destroyers of unarmed worlds. Against the damaged Valari patrol, they would have been unstoppable. But today, they faced the Titan. On the bridge, the human commander stood with calm eyes, his hands clasped behind his back. Around him, the crew worked in perfect rhythm. Weapons charged, targeting systems locked, shields hummed with power. The Valari survivors, kept under guard near the viewing gallery, trembled as they saw the enemy approach. Their own ships would have fled. Their fleets would have scattered, regrouped, and prayed for reinforcements. But the Titan did not move. Range closing, an officer reported. Enemy weapons hot. Shields at full strength. The commander nodded once. Hold fire. The Valari captain whispered, horrified. Why are they waiting? They should strike now. No one answered him. The raider ships unleashed the first barrage. Streams of plasma, fire cutting through the void. Blazing bolts hammered against the Titan's shields, but the giant warship did not falter. Energy rippled across its barrier like waves against a cliff. Inside, the crew felt only a slight vibration. The Titan stood unshaken. The commander raised his hand. His voice was steady, almost quiet. Return fire. The first blast from the Titan's cannons lit the void like a newborn star. A single shot tore through space and smashed into the nearest raider ship. The explosion was blinding. The vessel ripped apart in an instant. The Valari gasped as the debris scattered. One shot, one kill. The Titan's guns roared again. 2 more raider ships were struck in quick succession. One shattered into flames. The other spiraled away with its engines ripped out, drifting powerless. Panic spread through the raider fleet. Their formation broke as captains screamed orders. They had expected easy prey. Instead, they had awakened a beast. The Titan advanced slowly, like a predator enjoying the hunt. On the Valari side, fear turned to awe. Impossible, one whispered. No ship can fire with that much power. Another stammered. Their weapons, they cut through shields like paper. The Valari captain said nothing. His eyes followed the Titan's movements carefully. He saw precision, discipline, and something more, ruthlessness. The humans fought not to survive, but to dominate. The raiders tried to regroup, swarming from different angles. Missiles streaked toward the Titan. The bridge filled with reports. Multiple warheads incoming. Shields holding. Countermeasures ready. Deploy, the commander ordered. Dozens of defense drones shot out from the Titan's flanks. Tiny machines compared to the warship's bulk, but deadly fast. They intercepted the missiles, detonating them in brilliant bursts of light before they could reach the hull. The Valari crew flinched at every explosion, but the humans barely blinked. Then the Titan's secondary batteries opened fire. Smaller turrets rotated and unleashed streams of plasma. Raider fighters exploded one after another, swatted from the stars like insects. The Valari realized the horrifying truth. The Titan wasn't just winning, it was barely trying. Only 3 raider ships remained. Their captains shouted desperate commands, but their voices shook with fear. Pull back, pull back. They turned to flee, engines burning hot. But the Titan's crew did not hesitate. Lock on targets, the commander said. Lock, fire. 3 lances of energy ripped through the void. One after another, the fleeing ships were destroyed, consumed by fire. None escaped. Silence fell across the bridge. The battlefield was nothing but wreckage, burning metal, drifting bodies, shattered dreams. The Titan stood untouched. In a viewing gallery, the Valari were silent. None dared to speak. They had seen battles before, but nothing like this. Humanity had not just defeated the raiders, they had annihilated them. At last, the Valari captain found his voice. It was low, heavy. You could wipe out entire fleets. Why build such a ship? The human officer guarding them glanced coldly at him. Because we live on a world that tries to kill us every day. We learned long ago, strength is the only shield that lasts. The Valari captain looked away, shaken. Back on the bridge, the commander studied the wreckage. His face showed no triumph, no celebration, only calculation. Recover debris, he ordered. There may be intel worth saving. Then prepare for long-range scans. Raiders never travel alone. He turned his gaze toward the Valari survivors. You sent a call for help. We answered. But now, your enemies are ours. And we do not leave wars unfinished. The Valari realized then the cost of their mistake. They had not only been rescued, they had drawn humanity into their conflict. And once Deathworlders enter a war, they did not leave until victory was absolute. The Raider fleet closed in fast. 7 ships, armed to the teeth, their hulls painted with symbols of conquest. They were hunters, killers of the weak, destroyers of unarmed worlds. Against the damaged Valari patrol, they would have been unstoppable. But today, they faced the Titan. On the bridge, the human commander stood with calm eyes, his hands clasped behind his back. Around him, the crew worked in perfect rhythm. Weapons charged, targeting systems locked, shields hummed with power. The Valari survivors, kept under guard near the viewing gallery, trembled as they saw the enemy approach. Their own ships would have fled. Their fleets would have scattered, regrouped, and prayed for reinforcements. But the Titan did not move. Range closing, an officer reported. Enemy weapons hot. Shields at full strength. The commander nodded once. Hold fire. The Valari captain whispered, horrified. Why are they waiting? They should strike now. No one answered him. The Raider ships unleashed the first barrage. Streams of plasma, fire cutting through the void. Blazing bolts hammered against the Titan's shields, but the giant warship did not falter. Energy rippled across its barrier like waves against a cliff. Inside, the crew felt only a slight vibration. The Titan stood unshaken. The commander raised his hand. His voice was steady, almost quiet. Return fire. The first blast from the Titan's cannons lit the void like a newborn star. A single shot tore through space and smashed into the nearest Raider ship. The explosion was blinding. The vessel ripped apart in an instant. The Valari gasped as the debris scattered. One shot, one kill. The Titan's guns roared again. 2 more Raider ships were struck in quick succession. One shattered into flames. The other spiraled away with its engines ripped out, drifting powerless. Panic spread through the Raider fleet. Their formation broke as captains screamed orders. They had expected easy prey. Instead, they had awakened a beast. The Titan advanced slowly, like a predator enjoying the hunt. On the Valari side, fear turned to awe. Impossible, one whispered. No ship can fire with that much power. Another stammered. Their weapons, they cut through shields like paper. The Valari captain said nothing. His eyes followed the Titan's movements carefully. He saw precision, discipline, and something more, ruthlessness. The humans fought not to survive, but to dominate. The Raiders tried to regroup, swarming from different angles. Missiles streaked toward the Titan. The bridge filled with reports. Multiple warheads incoming. Shields holding. Countermeasures ready. Deploy, the commander ordered. Dozens of defense drones shot out from the Titan's flanks. Tiny machines compared to the warship's bulk, but deadly fast. They intercepted the missiles, detonating them in brilliant bursts of light before they could reach the hull. The Valari crew flinched at every explosion, but the humans barely blinked. Then the Titan's secondary batteries opened fire. Smaller turrets rotated and unleashed streams of plasma. Raider fighters exploded one after another, swatted from the stars like insects. The Valari realized the horrifying truth. The Titan wasn't just winning, it was barely trying. Only 3 Raider ships remained. Their captains shouted desperate commands, but their voices shook with fear. Pull back! Pull back! They turned to flee, engines burning hot. But the Titan's crew did not hesitate. Lock on targets, the commander said. Lock! Fire! 3 lances of energy ripped through the void. One after another, the fleeing ships were destroyed, consumed by fire. None escaped. Silence fell across the bridge. The battlefield was nothing but wreckage. Burning metal, drifting bodies, shattered dreams. The Titans stood untouched. In the viewing gallery, the Volari were silent. None dared to speak. They had seen battles before, but nothing like this. Humanity had not just defeated the raiders, they had annihilated them. At last, the Volari captain found his voice. It was low, heavy. You could wipe out entire fleets. Why build such a ship? The human officer guarding them glanced coldly at him. Because we live on a world that tries to kill us every day. We learned long ago, strength is the only shield that lasts. The Volari captain looked away, shaken. Back on the bridge, the commander studied the wreckage. His face showed no triumph, no celebration, only calculation. Recover debris, he ordered. There may be intel worth saving. Then prepare for long-range scans. Raiders never travel alone. He turned his gaze toward the Volari survivors. You sent a call for help. We answered. But now, your enemies are ours. And we do not leave wars unfinished. The Volari realized then the cost of their mistake. They had not only been rescued, they had drawn humanity into their conflict. And once Deathworlders enter a war, they did not leave until victory was absolute. The Titan cut through the void, a silent giant moving toward Volari space. For days, the ship had traveled, its crew alert, its weapons ready. The Volari survivors remained aboard, both grateful and uneasy. They were alive, yes, but they were being carried into the heart of their union by the most terrifying ship they had ever seen. The commander stood on the bridge, calm as ever. He knew the union had called for a meeting, but he also knew the truth. This was not a simple conversation. It was a test. Humanity was about to stand before the wider galaxy. At the edge of Volari space, fleets gathered. Dozens of alien warships formed a protective wall. Their designs were elegant, curved, and colorful, so different from the brutal steel of the Titan. As the human warship approached, Volari officers watched nervously from their bridges. The Titan was enormous, larger than most of their capital ships, its armor thick, its weapons bristling. Even at a distance, it radiated power. Keep your weapons ready, one Volari admiral whispered to his crew. If it turns hostile, we fire everything. But deep inside, he doubted that everything would be enough. The Titan stopped just short of the Volari defense line. Its comms opened. The human commander's voice rolled out, steady and cold. This is the Warship Titan. You requested an audience. We have come. The Volari council responded, their image flickering on the Titan's main screen. The counselors sat in their great chamber, cloaked in light and authority. Humans, the leader said slowly, you have entered our space. You claim to have answered a distress call, and yet, your ship destroyed 7 raider vessels with ease. Why do you build such a weapon? Why do you bring it here? The commander's gaze was firm. Because we are Deathworlders. Our world forged us to survive. We do not build fragile ships, because fragile ships do not last. We build to win. The counselors murmured nervously among themselves. Some whispered of arrogance, others of strength. The leader raised a hand. You must understand. Such power threatens the balance. The Union values peace. We cannot allow chaos. The commander leaned forward slightly. His words were quiet, but every syllable carried weight. Peace is not kept by weakness. Peace is kept by the strong. You called us, and we came. If you fear us, perhaps you should fear those who made you need us even more. In the chamber, the counselors fell silent. His words struck deep. The raiders were indeed growing stronger, spreading across border systems like fire. The Volari had struggled to contain them. Now, here's to the species that had crushed a raider fleet in minutes. One counselor, younger than the rest, spoke hesitantly. Perhaps the humans are right. Perhaps we should not fear their strength, but welcome it. With them as allies, the raiders could be ended. Another snap back, or replaced. What if the humans turn on us? What if their Titan is not the only one? What if they come not to save, but to rule? The chamber filled with heated voices again. The debate raged, but no decision came. Back aboard the Titan, the Valari captain who had been rescued stood before the human commander. He bowed his head slightly, unsure if it was out of gratitude or fear. "You must know," he said softly, "my people will not trust easily. Some will see you as saviors. Others will see you as conquerors. Be careful how you tread." The commander studied him, his face unreadable. "We did not ask for your call, but now that it has reached us, we will not turn away. Your raiders are ours now. If your council fears us, let them. Fear can be useful." The Valari captain felt a chill run through him. That night, the Valari council met in secret, away from human eyes. The leader spoke plainly. "Tomorrow, we decide. Do we extend a hand or raise our weapons?" The room was divided. Half sought alliance. Half demanded rejection, even war. But none could deny the truth of what they had seen. The humans had arrived with unstoppable strength, and the galaxy was no longer the same. On the Titan, the commander stood at the viewport, watching Valari fleets shift nervously around his ship. He spoke to no one in particular, his voice quiet but steady. "They wanted to see us. Now they have. Let them decide what they fear more, the raiders or us." The stars outside burned cold and bright. Tomorrow would bring either alliance or war. The Valari council chamber glowed with pale light. Holograms of star maps flickered above the great table, showing borders, raider routes, and a growing shadow of war. The counselors sat in silence at first, each lost in thought. Finally, the leader spoke. "The Deathworlders stand before us. Their warship is unmatched. We must decide now, ally or reject them." Arguments broke out instantly. They destroyed 7 raider ships with ease. "Do you not see? With their strength, we could secure our borders." Another snapped back. "And what if their strength turns on us? They could destroy our fleets just as easily. They saved our patrol. They terrified them. They're a danger. They're a chance." The chamber echoed with fear and hope. At last, the leader raised his hand, silencing them. "Enough. We will test them. If they truly wish alliance, they must prove it, not just in words, but in action." Murmurs rippled across the room. The test would decide everything. Back aboard the Titan, the commander received the council's message. The Valari captain stood beside him, watching nervously as the words were read aloud. "The Valari Union demands proof of humanity's intent," an officer recited. "A raider stronghold has been located on the border. If the Deathworlders truly wish to aid, they will destroy it." The bridge fell quiet. Every human officer knew what this meant. The Valari were not asking politely. They were challenging them. The commander's lips curved into a thin smile. "They want a demonstration? Then they shall have one." The Valari captain flinched. He had expected hesitation, negotiation, something. But the humans accepted the trial, as if it were nothing more than a routine exercise. The Titan turned its massive bulk and set course for the raider stronghold. The Valari fleet followed at a distance, watching carefully. Some hoped the humans would fail, proving them unworthy. Others feared success even more. The journey was tense. On the Titan's bridge, the crew prepared for battle. Weapons charged, drones armed, engines pushed to full burn. The Valari captain whispered to one of his crew, "Do you see? They do not doubt themselves, not even for a moment." His officer replied softly, "Perhaps they do not know fear." The captain shook his head. "No, they know it. They have mastered it." Hours later, the raider stronghold came into view. A jagged fortress built into an asteroid, surrounded by a swarm of warships. At least 20 ships, larger than those the Titan had faced before. The Valari fleet trembled at the sight. Against such numbers, even their own forces would have suffered terrible losses. But the Titan pressed forward without pause. On the raider channels, voices rose in alarm. "It's the Deathworlders ship, the one that destroyed the fleet. Defend the stronghold at all costs." The asteroid fortress lit up with fire. Dozens of plasma beams and missile swarms streaked toward the Titan. The human commander raised his hand. Shields to full. Begin attack. The first wave of fire crashed against the Titan's shields, but they held strong. The giant ship surged forward, cannons blazing. Each shot ripped through raider vessels, tearing them apart in brilliant bursts of flame. The Valari fleet watched from afar, stunned. It was not a battle. It was an execution. Defense drones swarmed out, intercepting missiles and blasting fighters apart. The Titan's secondary batteries swept through the raider lines like a storm. One by one, enemy ships exploded, their formation shattered, their captains screaming in panic. The fortress itself trembled as the Titan's main cannon charged. Energy built brighter and brighter, until it fired a beam that split the asteroid's crust. The stronghold cracked apart, torn open in a blinding explosion that scattered debris across space. When the light faded, nothing remained but silence and wreckage. On the Titan's bridge, the commander's voice was calm. Target neutralized. Mission complete. The Valari captain stared at the screen, unable to breathe. The humans had done it. They had destroyed what the Valari Union had feared for years, in less than an hour. Back in the council chamber, reports arrived. The counselors sat in stunned silence as images of the destroyed stronghold appeared. One finally whispered, "They did it. The Deathworlders destroyed the fortress as if it were nothing." Another muttered, "No fleet in the Union could have done that." The leader closed his eyes. The choice had been made, though it was no choice at all. The humans were too strong to be ignored. They're either our greatest allies or our greatest threat. We must decide quickly before they decide for us. On the Titan, the commander gave his final order of the day. Send the council a message. Humanity has shown its hand. The choice is theirs now. The Valari captain felt the weight of those words. The galaxy stood at a crossroads. The Deathworlders had proven their power. Now, the question was simple. Would they use it as saviors or conquerors? The Valari council chamber was silent. The images of the destroyed raider stronghold played again and again on the floating screens. Ships reduced to dust. The asteroid fortress split open by a single beam of human firepower. No one spoke for a long time. At last, the leader broke the silence. His voice was heavy, his eyes cold. The humans have passed the test. They're not only warriors. They're a force unlike any we have ever faced. The question is no longer can they fight. The question is, what will they do with such strength? The counselors shifted uneasily. Some still whispered of alliance. Others muttered of danger. But all agreed on one truth. The galaxy could not remain the same after this day. Back aboard the Titan, the crew carried on with their usual efficiency, but a sense of gravity filled the air. They knew the Valari were watching. They knew their actions had echoed across the stars. The commander stood on the bridge, hands clasped behind his back, gazing at the stars ahead. His officers waited quietly until one finally asked, "Sir, do you think they will accept us as allies?" The commander's eyes narrowed. His voice was calm, but each word carried weight. Allies, enemies, it makes little difference. They have seen us now. They will never forget. That is enough. In the Valari council chamber, the debate raged again. They saved our patrol. They crushed the raiders. We must extend a hand of friendship. Friendship? Another snapped. Do you not see? If they can destroy fleets so easily, what stops them from destroying us? A single Titan could tear apart our union. The raiders are finished because of them. Should we spit on that victory? And when they demand more, when they ask for territory or resources or power, the leader silenced them with a gesture. He spoke with the weight of history in his tone. We stand at a turning point. If we treat them as enemies, war will come, and it will not be one we can win. If we treat them as allies, we must prepare to live under the shadow of their strength. Either path carries risk, but one path carries survival, and survival must come first. The counselors bowed their heads. The decision was made. A message was sent to the Titan. Humans of Earth, the Valari Union recognizes your strength. We acknowledge your aid and extend an offer of alliance. May this be the beginning of peace between our peoples. The words were formal, but beneath them lay unease. When a message was read aloud on the Titan's bridge, the crew allowed themselves a rare moment of pride. Some smiled, some nodded, but the commander did not smile. He looked at the Valari captain, who had stood silently nearby. "Do not mistake this alliance for comfort," the commander said. "Your leaders act because they must, not because they trust. Remember that." The Valari captain lowered his head. "I know, but even so today you saved us." The commander turned away, his eyes fixed on the stars. "No, we saved ourselves. That is what we always do." The Titan turned, preparing to depart Valari space. Its engines burned bright, carrying it back toward the endless frontier. The Valari fleets parted, allowing it passage, their crews watching in silence as the Deathworlder warship moved like a mountain across the void. Whispers spread across the galaxy. Raiders fled in terror. Small empires whispered in their courts. The legend of the Titan grew with every telling. The Deathworlders had awakened. In the quiet of his private quarters, the commander finally allowed himself a rare thought. He gazed at a star map, countless systems glowing across the dark. "Today, they asked if we would be allies," he murmured. "Tomorrow, they may ask if we will be rulers. And one day, they may beg us not to be conquerors." He closed the map. His eyes were steady, unflinching. Whatever the galaxy decides, humanity will endure, and the Titan will lead the way. The warship sailed into the night, its engines leaving a trail of light across the stars. It carried not only its crew, but a message carved in fire and steel. The Deathworlders had answered the call, and the galaxy would never be the same.